Change is in the air in Columbus. They have let go their head coach after a very trying season. Jay Forster of Locked On Blue Jackets is here to discuss that and what to look forward to in Columbus as change has come to Ohio.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thanks for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/NHL60 and use code NHL60 for 60% off plus free shipping. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Columbus Blue Jackets, Jay Forster. And Jay, not shocked that change is in the air in Columbus after a rough season. Brad Larsen let go. How surprised were you by this move, and what's the reason mainly for it?
Well, I was and I wasn't surprised. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked. I assumed that I would be done with the national show for the next couple of months because obviously playoffs takes precedence, but the Blue Jackets have decided to steal everyone's thunder by making management moves. And yeah, I'm surprised and I'm not. This is a move that I would have made 6 months ago, but I have spent all season talking about how the Blue Jackets were probably just going to keep him because it's cheaper than, going out and getting a different coach. Then they have to pay 2 coaches. I fully believe that that's the reason they hired him in the first place, was because they knew that they were going into a kind of a mini rebuild and they didn't want to, Gerard Gallant was a name that was kind of thrown about for the Blue Jackets at the start of the start of last season. So the 21-22 season, just because he's going to command more money. And I think that they knew that they were going to be bad. So they were like, well, we'll go for the cheap option. We'll go for the guy that everyone knows already. And so they hired Brad Larsen. And he was fine last season. This season, he was brutal. And I don't know exactly what, I'm not in the room. I don't know his logic behind making decisions. I don't know, why he did the things that he did. But if you're playing your fourth line 14 minutes a night and you're playing your line of young kids, like your 20, 21 or younger line, and they're getting 8 minutes a night, to me, that feels like a problem. If you've got Kent Johnson, who had 40 points this season, and he was doing that on an average of about 12 or 13 minutes a game, he made so many baffling decisions, and it's something we talked about a little bit just off mic. In no way did I think they were going to use this season as a reason to get rid of him, because I certainly would have got rid of him. I think he's been brutal this season, but the Blue Jackets have also been icing an AHL roster for 2/3 of this season. They lost their #1 defenseman 13 games into the season. Patrick Laine got injured in the first game of the season. They had, I believe by the middle of November, they had 4 season-ending injuries on the team. They have been playing rookies. They have used 47 different players this season. It's been rough. And yeah, I think probably partially that's why the Blue Jackets have been so bad this season, is because with the best will in the world, you can't ice an AHL team against NHL teams and expect to come out on top. However, they clearly thought the same thing as I did, which was Brad Larsen should not be coaching this team. I was fully expecting them to turn around and be like, well, he did the best he could. We're going to keep him. Next year is going to be better. And apparently, Jarmo Kekalainen has decided that 2 years of mediocre coaching is enough for him. I believe Brad Larsen finishes his Columbus Blue Jackets tenure with like a 427 point percentage over the last 2 seasons, which you go out and you sign Johnny Gaudreau, you're not like you don't sign him to play under 500 hockey. You just don't do it. And it's going to be really interesting to see what comes next for the Blue Jackets. Jarmo Kekalainen says that he doesn't have anyone in mind. He's going to do his due diligence. He's going to take a look. Maybe there'll be some guys that are available after early playoff exits. I don't buy that. Jarmo Kekalainen, I feel like, is a guy that doesn't make any decision without knowing what his next step is going to be. If I would be very, very surprised if he did not have a list of guys that he has in mind right now. Whether that's guys that are available right now, whether that's just guys that he wants to interview, I don't know. But I'd be very surprised if Jarmo Kekalainen doesn't have an idea of who he wants the next head coach of the Blue Jackets to be.
What do you think the criteria that he's looking for is if you don't know the names?
I think he's looking for someone that has a track record in developing young players. I think he's looking for someone that can get more out of the defensive side of the game. Not too much. I don't think Barry Trotz would have been the ideal coach for this team because this team is not built in the way that like a Barry, and you watched many years of Barry Trotz coached Islanders hockey. It was extremely defense. We're going to win every game 2-1. This roster's not built like that. This roster is built to score goals. It'd be nice if they were a little bit more defensively sound, but they're not built to be that Barry Trotz style of like, we're just going to kill every play as it comes in, So I'd like someone, and I think Jarmo Kekalainen would like someone with a little bit more defensive stability is not the word I want, but I think he's looking for someone that probably has maybe been an assistant coach that handled the defensive side of the game. I think he's probably looking for someone with more experience. I think, and I respect going for Brad Larsen as a coach that hasn't been, the NHL has this problem where they just pass the same 30 coaches around,
Yes.
and then occasionally you swap a new one in and then one takes a couple of years out and then they swap back in, So I respected at the time that they went for someone that wasn't just one of the same kind of 35-ish old white men that roll around this league. But I wonder if maybe he's looking at someone like Peter Laviolette, who was just let go. I wonder if he has his eye on maybe Todd McClellan in LA. I don't necessarily think Sheldon Keefe is the answer here, but I think he might be kind of in the mix as well. There's a bunch of guys out there that have NHL coaching experience that I think Kekalainen is probably looking for that as opposed to bringing in someone completely new. That being said, if there was ever going to be a GM that was going to just like go wild and bring in some random guy that's never coached, like if they brought in like a Marty St. Louis, I would not be shocked. If they could turn around and be like, yeah, Rick Nash is going to be coaching this team next year. Right. And I'd be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense for this team. So it really feels like it's going to go one way or the other. They're either going to pick someone with a ton of experience or it's going to be someone like Rick Nash who's never coached before, or it's going to be someone from Europe, maybe. It's going to be some fresh blood. And I really can't tell which way it's going to fall.
Well, we will find out hopefully soon. Jay, why don't you let our viewers and our listeners know where they could find you on social media and where they could find the podcast?
Yes, you can find Locked On Blue Jackets wherever you get Locked On NHL. We're on YouTube. We're on every podcasting app of choice. The content is going to be red hot now that the Blue Jackets have actually done something worth talking about for the first time in a couple of months. You can find us on Twitter at @LO_Blue Jackets. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Forster, JAKOB FORSTER. If you would like some opinions about food and dog pictures mixed in with your hockey, then that is the place for you.
All right, Jay, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens. The grip of winter is finally being loosened, and you may be trying to get back into a more healthy, active lifestyle. What better to pair with some new exercise habits than a daily dose of nutritional insurance in the form of AG1? With one delicious scoop of AG1 in a glass of water every day, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All these things, and it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.